Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Sabansi, and welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and when we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we got a pretty interesting show for you guys. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Some people say I pronounce my last name too fast. Tabansi, Charles Tabansi. But anyway, let's get into this topic here. So as you guys know, there's a very, very, very big game that's slated to take place tomorrow. On Saturday, obviously, between Colorado and Oregon, right? Very big game. And as a matter of fact, before producing this show, we put up this poll a few hours ago. I would say about 2 hours ago. We put up a poll where we essentially asked our audience, going into tomorrow's game, who do you have winning? I think since I last checked, about 2,000 to 3,000 people have voted, and Colorado has a slight margin going into that game. But anyway, that's just one aspect of this. But looking at this thing from a larger perspective, I was doing some research this morning, kind of reading up on this news to just kind of get myself ready for it. Because, I mean, here I am, Charles here, Dreamers Pro here. We're covering college football. Who would have thunk? We're here covering college football. If any of you guys that have been following this channel, you know that we are predominantly an NBA channel at the core of it. So for us to be talking about college football, it shows you the reach that Deion Sanders is having, and is actually going to give some credibility to the article that we want to get into today. So this morning I was doing some research and I came across an article from one of my favorite websites called what is it? Front Office Sports, right? A Front Office Sports article, and they had a very, very, very interesting piece that I want to read here. It starts off with the headline: Deion Sanders reshaping college football fan base with Buffalo's surge. The article then continues on. Deion Sanders' transformation of the Colorado Buffaloes is the talk of the sports world, but there's more. But there's one story angle gaining more attention, namely Coach Prime's impact on Black TV audiences. Many Black sports fans who casually watch college football are all in on his 3-0 Buffs. Sanders has turned Colorado into Black America's team, writes Clinton Yates of Anscape. The stats back him up over the first 3 weeks of the season. Black viewers made up 25% of the audience for ESPN's telecast of Colorado's wild 43-35 win over Colorado State in week 3, tweeted Flora Kelly, ESPN Vice President of Research. That's up from 19% from the window's average last season. Also, 31% of the audience was female versus 29% for last season, and only 14% of the viewers came from the Pacific time zone versus 24% last year. That indicates the Buffs are a national draw like Notre Dame or the Dallas Cowboys. Fox Sports televised Colorado's first 2 games this season, both rated dramatically higher in Black TV households, tweeted Mike, Fox president of Insights and Analytics. He wrote that Colorado's season opening win over TCU rated 70% higher in Black households. Their week 2 win over Nebraska rated 79% higher. Despite a 10 p.m. ET kickoff, Saturday's Colorado versus CSU grudge match was the most watched college football game of the season so far, averaging 9.3 million viewers. That made it ESPN's most watched late primetime game ever, and its 5th best on record. While wearing his signature blender sunglasses on the sideline, Sanders' Buffs played in 3 of the 5 most watched games this season, according to Sports Media Watch. Meanwhile, Boulder, Colorado has become Hollywood West, attracting Black celebrities and personalities such as The Rock, ESPN Stephen A. Smith, Shannon Sharp, and rappers Lil Wayne and the members of the rap group Wu-Tang Clan. And Axios' Russell Contreras wrote, not since the Los Angeles Raiders in the 1980s or Michigan's men's basketball team, the Fab Five in the 1990s, has a team captivated Black America and hip-hop culture like the Buffs have so far. So you heard what the article had to say there, right? Now, I find a lot of the information in this article, this is going to be a long show, I find a lot of the information in this article to be very interesting, and I'll tell you why. As I said before at the onset, I'm someone that's never followed college football. So for us to be sitting here following college football, it tells you something. Secondly, we read all of our comments, and we've been noticing that on these Deion Sanders, Jason Whitlock kind of topics, we've been noticing more women commenting. And that never happens, really. We have our audience is 93% male. I mean, it's all men, really. Even the numbers say so. But I was even surprised. I was going through some of the comments, and I was saying to myself, there are women watching. This is very surprising because whenever we do NBA content, you seldom see women commenting on NBA content. But with this particular story, you see women that are now following the sport, which brings an interesting insight into what Deion Sanders is really doing. And I'll tell you something. I believe that this effect is real, right? I believe it's real. And I think that it's something that happens across the board. It doesn't have to be a black thing. I think that generally people want to see people like themselves that come from the same place that they do. Generally, you want to see them do better. I mean, unless you're like a Jason Whitlock or something who has like a total issue with that. But generally, that's the way it is, right? And it can go all the way down to tribes and all. That's just how it's human. It's a human thing. It's not a black thing. That's how it is in general, right? So I don't think that's anything, I don't think that's anything bad there. Another thing why I think this is true, I'll give you guys a quick example. I'm a Formula One fan, a huge one now. A number of years ago, I used to kind of follow it very passively, right? Very passively. And then my man, Lewis Hamilton, yes, I'm not hiding it. Lewis Hamilton is my guy. He's my guy. Now, Lewis Hamilton is the only black driver in that sport that is dominated at the level that he's dominated. So a part of me wants to see him do good. Like, it really does. But I don't think, it's just a black thing. They have Italian drivers. I'm sure Italians watch and want the Italian drivers to do good. They may have British drivers. They're British people that want them to do good. So I don't think it's like, oh my God, I don't have anything against the other players, but I want drivers, but I want to see this guy do good. So I can understand it. We're seeing it here, but I don't think it's the only thing. I think this happens across the board. The most interesting aspect of all of this is the fact that there's so many women watching, which I think is very, very interesting. And I think maybe someone may need to do a case study as to why that's the case. But it hasn't been all excitement and fanfare and, oh my God, we're so happy and let's dance it up, let's twerk it up. No. Because as I said before, Colorado's going into this game here tomorrow versus Oregon. And according to various reports that I've been reading, it seems like they are heavy underdogs. And I want to quickly read from an article here that I'm getting here from USA Today. It says, early lines have Colorado as a massive 3-touchdown underdog at Oregon. It continues on. For the first time since their season opener against formerly ranked TCU, the Colorado Buffs are the underdogs. In what will undoubtedly be the biggest challenge of Deion Sanders' debut, his 19th ranked Buffs are 21-point underdogs on the road against number 10 Oregon at BetMGM. Like Colorado, Oregon is 3-0 on the season and led by Heisman hopeful at quarterback. Bo Nix plus 2,020 odds aren't far behind Shedeur Sanders at plus 1,800. However, Colorado will have to slow Nix without its other best player, cornerback and wide receiver, Travis Hunter, who is expected to miss 3 weeks with an injury he suffered in their thriller win over Colorado State. So some of the betting experts, they have these guys as underdogs. So what I decided to do was, because again, as I said, football is not my thing. So I lean on the experts in moments like this. And I wanted to get a sense of what some of the pros, what the professionals, guys that have been following football for a very long time, think about Colorado's chances going into today's game. So I was watching a bit of Undisputed today, and I came across a segment covering just this very thing, talking about their chances going into the weekend. And on the panel, you had Keyshawn Johnson, you had Michael Irvin, you had Skip Bayless, and they were giving their take on what they think Colorado's chances are going into this game and ultimately becoming victorious. So what we want to do is want to play what the gentleman had to say here, and then we're going to come back and give you guys our closing thoughts. Take a listen to that there.
Coach Prime's Colorado Buffaloes are a 21-point underdog tomorrow at Oregon for a game that will kick off at 12:30 Oregon time at Autzen Stadium. I repeat, 21-point dog
against
Just the way they were in their opener at TCU when they put college football on notice with a 45-42 stunner. Keyshawn, what shot do you give Shedeur and company of pulling off yet another monumental road upset?
Okay, so how do I say this? I give them a shot, a good shot. But it's going to be hard. Could I do that? Could I give them a good shot and it's going to be hard at the same time because you're going on the road to a team that we assume is pretty good. But here's what I'm going to say about the opponents that Colorado played. I would argue with anybody or have a conversation with anybody that the opponents that Colorado played versus what Oregon has played is better.
Right, okay.
I would argue that.
Right.
So when we get fooled by Portland State, 81, whatever it was, they hung on them.
Right.
We go, oh, God.
Averaging 58 points a game.
And then a dog fight against Texas Tech. And Lubbock is tough to play in. You know that, right? It's a tough place. Right. But it's Texas Tech for crying out loud.
Agreed.
Right? So then you look at that. And then you look at Hawaii that Oregon played. They hung 50 plus on them. That's tough, too.
You know, Deion is a funny dude. And we've talked a lot about Deion. And when I was with Deion before that TCU game, he said, man, they got us underdogs by 21. They did it again by 21. Whenever Deion sees the number 21, he thinks great things are happening.
Bingo.
I'm trying to tell y'all how this dude thinks. We were riding around here in L.A. We went to dinner somewhere. We were at your restaurant, Key. That's right. This is a while back. We were at your restaurant. Everywhere he saw 21, he would always point out, 21, that means we'll have a good day. 21. So I started doing the same thing with 88. 88, we'll have a good day. 88, you know. But this kind of stuff goes in his head. He'll see this as God giving me a sign that we're going to beat Oregon. I'm telling y'all right now, God giving him a sign that we're going to beat Oregon. I promise you, he's going to believe that. Let me tell you what I think, though, this game is going to be here. This is the time. Even when we talked about when you showed the highlights, you heard what he said. The coach's son just threw a touchdown. So up to this moment, Shedeur has been the coach's son. That's his dad. His dad is Deion Sanders. Now, if he can pull this off, that's what it's going to take. It's going to take Shedeur Sanders playing out of his mind.
Agreed.
To win these next two games, or to win Saturday, to win on. To play out of his mind.
I'm going to go completely out on the limb. I know Keyshawn was trying to make the case that you're pulling for Deion, but your head is telling you it's just too hard to win up there. I'm here to tell you, I think history will repeat because they are 21-point dogs. I think it is a sign from above.
It's a sign.
I think they're going to go in there and do exactly what they did to TCU, which is win 45-42. Will they miss Travis Hunter? Absolutely they will. More on defense than on offense. He is, to me, the best cornerback in college football. His claim to fame as he goes forward into pro football will be more cornerback than receiver, though he will contribute heavily at receiver. But my point is, they are going to get scored upon, but they are going to do a bunch of scoring because those weapons are legitimate. Shedeur is, this is just me, I'm seeing slightly better than Caleb already. Just as a pure pocket passer, we need more body of work. I need to see more reps. These are big reps, and they will be big reps against your team. They are also capable of outscoring your team because your defense is always suspect. But I watched carefully Oregon at Texas Tech, and Oregon had a very difficult time at Texas Tech. I have watched carefully these weapons that Shedeur has. Dylan Edwards is a true freshman. He is a game breaker. He is a game wrecker.
So you heard what they had to say, right? I think Skip Bayless believes that they have a chance and they could win. What is it? I think Michael Irvin thinks it's going to be a tall task. And I think Keyshawn is looking at it from the standpoint, well, who's Oregon beaten thus far, right? And look at the teams that that Colorado's being. So I think he's giving them a chance as well. But I think Skip is most likely going to think that they're going to win. Funny enough, there was a hilarious bit that took place on ESPN early this week with Chris Mad Dog Russo talking about splitting gummy bears in half. And he said putting 10 dimes or something. I'm assuming he's talking about 100 racks, $100,000 on the game. That was hilarious. He's betting on them before he wasn't a believer. Now he's a believer now. So we have to wait and see. But whatever the case will be, this is going to be a ratings bonanza. People are going to be tuning in. I just want to quickly reference an article that I read from Front Office Sports that was written about a day or two ago. Let me just give you guys some of the numbers. Listen to this. Despite finishing after 2 a.m. Eastern, Week 3's Rocky Mountain Showdown against winless Colorado State's team still delivered 9.3 million viewers on ESPN, making it the network's most watched late primetime college football game ever. Before that, Colorado-Nebraska brought in 8.73 million viewers on Fox in Week 2, and Sanders' Colorado coaching debut against TCU was Fox's most watched Big Noon Saturday Week 1 game ever with 7.26 million viewers. Guys, let me just give you guys a quick relation. Shannon Sharp just made his debut on on ESPN First Take, right? With Stephen A. Smith. They peaked at, I think, one show had 714,000 viewers. Those were mega numbers. These guys are bringing in millions of people to watch. And you better believe there are going to be millions of people watching this game tomorrow. It's going to be people that are rooting for it. It's going to be new people like myself trying to figure out what the hell is going on. And of course, we're going to have the haters. They're going to tune in hoping that this guy will fail. Whatever happens, I think is going to be a spectacle. And to me, again, I haven't seen anything like this in recent history when we're talking about sports. Deion Sanders and these guys, Coach Prime, however you want to call it, and these boys are dominating sports. And if they win and continue to win, these guys are going to shatter the record books. They're already doing it with the viewership, the numbers, and all of that. But if they continue to win, which most people don't believe that they will, this is going to be one of the greatest sports stories ever. These are my thoughts. Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comments section, and we catch you guys on the next show. Peace.